Welcome everyone. Glad to see you here. I am very excited for this session. I have been working very hard on it for the past couple of weeks. Very excited to be here in this moment. So thank you all for being here with me. Today is the official public beta launch of this new simulation builder tool that I've been working on day and night, it feels like. So I can't wait to actually share it with you all, see what you create. Are y'all familiar with the tool already? Have some of y'all been seeing little sneak peeks on LinkedIn, or some of y'all here no idea what we're about to get into? Because I'm most excited for y'all. You're going to be surprised, I hope. No idea. Okay, great. Okay, very cool. So I hope that y'all will be surprised here. I try to make this as easy as possible for you all. I have a question before we dive in, though. So for those of you who do design scenario-based learning experiences or e-learning simulations or whatever we want to call them, what has been the hardest part so far when you work on those? So it looks like it's honestly pretty close. It looks like the hardest part for most people is the branching complexity, and the time it takes to build and making it feel realistic are very close seconds. So I know the struggle. I know one of my first e-learning projects I did for a client back in like 2018. I was like, oh, I'll do a branching scenario. I'm seeing people talk about it on LinkedIn, seem super excited. I'll make it this, really cool scenario-based simulation style e-learning. And I won't even storyboard, right? I like rapid prototyping, so I'm just gonna dive in and start building it in Storyline. And that course must have taken 5 times longer than I expected it to, with all the different branches and things that could go wrong. So yeah, it takes a long time. The branches get complex. So thanks for sharing that. It was more of a spread than I expected. So I'm going to share my screen, and we are going to get into the good stuff here. Okay, I hope y'all are excited. And we have some people who will be helping out in the chat. So if you have questions in the chat, feel free. I'm going to maybe stay focused for a few minutes at a time. So here we go. Let me make sure all my systems are working. It looks like they are. Okay, so the traditional approach to building simulations in Storyline, it takes a lot of time, right? At least weeks, sometimes months if you want to build it really well. And most of the time we're building multiple choice experiences, right? Especially before AI, we didn't have the option to use AI powered characters or things like that. So, in the real world, people aren't going to have the option when they're talking to an angry customer, like, oh, which choice do I pick to calm down this angry customer? So it's like, it was the best thing we had to help people practice this decision making in a self-paced environment, but it still was not the most realistic because people on the job don't have little multiple choice options floating around their head when they're having to make a tough decision in most cases. And then also the visibility into the learner performance is not very great, right? We could sometimes rig a score onto one of these branching experiences where they get points based on the outcome they arrive at, but we can't really see the exact path they took, the exact skills they're struggling with, unless we spent a lot of development work on implementing something like XAPI, for example. So yeah, not to mention the technical skill it takes to build simulations like this. So I built this tool to make it take literally minutes, and I'm not even exaggerating here. You can build this in less than an hour. So yeah, you can build these realistic simulations really fast. Learners respond in their own words and get dynamic responses. So these are AI-powered simulations. So no two people's experiences are going to look the same. And right, no matter how you talk to the AI, it can respond as the person that you're coaching would, or as the customer would that your learners need to support, or that if you're training salespeople, that the prospects would respond. So we can make a simulation that responds realistically like people would in the real world. And then we can track every conversation too. So we can see the exact criteria that people are struggling with in these simulations. We can see full transcripts. We can see score, pass, fail, all of that good stuff as well. So do y'all want to see the simulation we're going to dive into here? You want to interview an AI-powered subject matter expert? Okay, let's do it. So I'm going to share this link with you all in a minute. Here's the demo, okay? We're gonna interview this guy. He retires in 2 weeks. We need to collect the right info from him before he leaves so that we can design a high-impact learning simulation for new managers. We should be able to do that, right? Let's do it. Okay, so here is where the simulation loads. And this is the whole AI powered experience right here. So Frank says, they've got me doing a knowledge transfer thing. 2 weeks left and now we're capturing my institutional knowledge. No offense, but when someone did this with Diane in claims, it became a PowerPoint nobody opened. What exactly are we planning to build? So let's just be a little vague. So I'll be like, we're going to build an e-learning experience. So Frank is thinking here. Oh, Frank did not like that. So Frank groans. He says, oh, an e-learning experience. Great. Last year they made me do a 45-minute compliance module. 45 minutes. I clicked next as fast as I could. Is that what we're building here? Because if so, I've got a stack of end-of-year reports that are honestly more exciting. Okay, he's not too excited about that. So I'll be like, oh, no, Frank. We're going to build something much more engaging. It's going to be a scenario-based simulation where people can practice using the same skills they'd use on the job. Okay, Frank liked that. So notice we got a little star, right? Added a little gamification element where if we can confirm that we are going to build something a bit more engaging, Frank gets happier. So Frank says, okay, that's actually different. If it's a real scenario where someone has to practice doing the actual job, make real decisions, maybe feel that knot in the stomach when an agent pushes back on feedback, yeah, I'd actually use something like that. All right, you've got my attention. What do you need from me? So how do we want to start this conversation? Let's ask a fluffy question and see how Frank responds. So I'll be like, what does it take to succeed in your role? Right, let's be a little vague. And you all will all have a chance to try this for yourself. I'd love to see how y'all handle this conversation. Okay, Frank's giving us that look. I mean, you got to know your people, handle the tough situations, keep the numbers up, you know, the usual stuff. Okay, so this SME, I guess, doesn't love the fluff as much as some SMEs might. So we're going to have to take a different approach here. So let's try to get more specific. Actually, we could take a wrong turn. Y'all want to take a wrong turn and be like, okay, know your people, handle the tough situations, keep the numbers up. Sounds good. I'd be like, sounds good. Maybe we can wrap this conversation up. We got what we needed in this 1 minute conversation, right? Uh-oh, Frank is alarmed again. That's it. You don't want to know about the hard part? That generic stuff I just said, any manager on the street could tell you that. Okay, you're right. Tell me about the hardest situation you've dealt with. So now I'm going to try to, finish this up and actually get to the feedback, right? So now Frank's thinking we might be on the right path here. That's a little better, but still pretty broad. There's hard situations with agents, hard situations with customers, right? With your own manager breathing down your neck, about average handle time while you're trying to actually develop somebody. Which one are you asking about? Let's dive into coaching the agents. What's the hardest situation you faced with an agent? Because this is a call center manager, and we're presumably going to be designing a scenario to help other call center managers. All right, coaching situations. Hardest ones are always when the agent knows they're struggling, but they're too proud to admit it. So they come in defensive before you've even said a word. How did you handle it differently compared to new managers? So we'll see what Frank is doing to perform better than the other managers. Give me a second. I want to get this right. The thing most new managers do is they walk in with their call stats printout and they lead with the numbers. Second you do that with a defensive agent, they shut down completely. So how do you handle it? So yeah, we're actually having a little SME conversation here, trying to... Oh, we might have finished it here. We got another star for unlocking a specific scenario example. Notice that the simulation is complete and the results are loading now. So this is where the evaluation is happening. Frank is happy. And let's see, what was his actual thing? I never let the agent see my data first. I asked them how the week went. I shut up and actually listen. 9 times out of 10, a struggling agent knows where they messed up. If you let them say it, they own it instead of defending against it. So there we go. We'll continue along. And here is the feedback. So we failed. I guess it didn't like our trolling. So we failed up here. We only got a 56%. And we get some customized feedback here too. So we recovered well after Frank's skepticism by pivoting to scenario-based practice, and that kept him engaged. Your questions stayed too broad throughout. What does it take to succeed in your role, and even what's the hardest situation you faced? Gave Frank room to stay vague, anchoring to a specific moment, right, so on and so forth. So there we go. What do y'all think? Do y'all think this might be pretty difficult to build? And do you want to see the results? So check this out. And yeah, speech to text and voice mode are both coming soon if y'all are thinking about how this would look voice. We already have some working prototypes of both of those. Okay, so check this out. Y'all are all gonna build this literally during this session if you think this is gonna be like too hard. So if you don't know where to begin, you're in the right place. So check this out too. So this is the metrics screen. So whenever you create one of these simulations, watch, we can refresh this. We'll see our completions come in. Oh, I did a couple. I did a test one. We can see pass rate, completion rate, how many unique learners completed it, score distribution, and then we can actually see criteria breakdown. So I'm going to show y'all a little bit here. I don't want to overwhelm you, but this is the evaluation criteria, right? So we're evaluating whether or not the learner asked a specific behavioral question that references a concrete situation, so on and so forth. We can assign points to each of these. We can also account for deductions. So if we tell Frank we're designing generic e-learning, we're going to remove 10 points. And then in the metrics tab, we can scroll down, see our actual score right here. We can click on it, and we can see the full breakdown here. So we can see how the learner did with each criteria, right? Did they get full credit or partial? And then we can also see the full transcript. So yeah, so pretty good visibility here. And again, this is the first day of the public beta, so I'm going to be working on giving even deeper metrics and insights. The simulation, so this is what powers the whole experience, right? So it's a lot of text we're looking at, right? We can give the character instructions, a description, behavior triggers. So right, when the learner asks a vague question, give a vague, unhelpful answer with a shrug. So you can see some of that here. So there's all of that, okay? I'm gonna show you how easy this is to make though, okay? Don't get overwhelmed. We don't have to fill out all this information. Before we do that, I want to show you one more example just to show you what these different experiences can look like. So Sabrina Gonzalez created a really impressive portfolio project. Honestly, the chatbot is like the least impressive part of the whole thing. So check this out if you haven't already. But we are a detective and we have to interview some suspects about a stolen painting. So check it out. So here's how you can like brand the simulation to match different course skins and themes and stuff like that. Yes. Did you commit the crime? I don't think I'm going to make the best detective here. But no, can we move this along? I've got places to be. Admit it. So you can check this out too. We'll also share the link to this, but this is a really impressive demo if you're looking for creating portfolio projects. So what do y'all think? I'm going to stop sharing my screen and check in on the chat and see how we're doing. Okay, so y'all love it? Y'all feeling confident you can create one in the next 45 minutes or so? Some of y'all are curious how to do it? We're going to dive into the demo really soon. I do want to play a quick clip for you from some early beta testers. So some people are using it for their portfolio. Some people are using it on the job for their audiences and figuring out how to make it work. So I'm going to play a 4.5-minute clip. These people were kind enough to record some clips talking about their use cases for us. And I thought it would go smoother as a video than having to manage it all live. So 4.5-minute clip, then we're going to dive into the demo and you will start building. So get Storyline open and get ready to go if you want to follow along.
Everyone, my name is Patty Blount. I am a senior instructional designer for Optimum. We are a telecom services provider from Bethpage, New York. My role is predominantly sales training for our entire organization. So that means multiple channels, multiple business units, such as consumer as well as business sales. I wanted to share with you how the devlin.ai is solving a few problems that we've been having. First, we are a very tiny team with no developer resources. Every time we explored AI in the past, we always hit the same problems, the same brick wall. How are we going to handle JavaScripting? Who's going to manage the API keys? How will we manage maintenance going forward when we have to update these? That technical lift kept us from ever really getting started. Second, we need assessments. We need a way of delivering assessments so that we can actually scale our programs more efficiently without losing consistency. Our assessments have to be role play based because multiple choice simply does not measure the performance we are looking for. We tried and we are still using train the trainer sessions with those strict rubrics I mentioned, but again, the more people that you introduce to the equation, the more consistency goes down. Devlin's AI addressed both of these issues. I was able to build 2 simulations using the beta version in maybe about an hour. It required no coding, no API keys to manage. I was able to just simply tell the AI how I wanted it to behave, and it provided to me all the storyline variables I needed to add to my project file, and a few JavaScript lines that I had to embed in a variable, and that was it. It's all on the same slide. Very small, compact, and very elegant solution. So Devlin's AI didn't just save me time, it made my assessments more consistent, more scalable, more genuinely useful to my learners. So if any of these technical barriers have been holding you back, I urge you to consider taking a close look at this simulation builder. It's well worth your time.
Hello, my name is Terry Arthur, and I'm an instructional designer with Yamaha Golf Car. I'm a team of one, so time and simplicity are very important to me. We currently have use cases where role play or skill practice would be valuable, but I just don't have the bandwidth to make it happen. Being a beta tester with Devlin Simulator has been a game changer for how I can now create the interactive content that will have a real impact on learner behavior. I've created 3 sims, each taking me less than 30 minutes to build and load into Storyline. Thank you, Devlin, for creating this amazing tool.
Hello, I'm Sabrina Gonzalez, one of the instructional designers at Peck Academy, and in the Academy, I've reviewed lots of projects and portfolios, and the projects that always stand out the most to me are the ones that move beyond traditional interactions that you would expect from e-learning, and I think that's where these chatbot style simulations fit in. And they make the chatbot simulations make really good portfolio pieces because you do still have to be a strong instructional designer to create them. So 3 of the big pieces that I think are good to show off with these chatbot styles are first that the learning experiences are much more authentic, right? You can create a really solid scenario-based e-learning project but you're still limited to just what answer choices learners can choose from. And AI opens up a whole new world because people can put in exactly what they would say. Maybe the 3 answer choices in the e-learning aren't what they would say, but with AI, they can put in whatever they would say or do in the situation. So much more authentic. The other piece is you can't rely on AI to do everything for you. So you still have to be the strong instructional designer who knows exactly what success is going to look like for this learning experience, because you have to tell AI, these are the things learners must do in order to pass this simulation. So it's still your job to dig in and figure out what does success look like. And then last is the feedback. In a traditional e-learning, you can give some incorrect or correct feedback, right? It's going to be relevant to those answers that they chose in the experience, but you can make it relevant to the learner by using AI, because the AI is going to give feedback based on the user's input and the success criteria that you set. So it's much more relevant to them and much more likely to change behaviors because it's tailored to the learner, and so they'll know what they need to do better next time. So it's those 3 pieces that I really feel make these strong portfolio pieces. Authentic learning experiences, you still need to know what success looks like, and the feedback's going to be much more relevant to people.
All right, big shout out to Patty, Terry, and Sabrina. Thank you all for recording those clips. They're all working on cool stuff. And then Sabrina is just that little detective one we took a look at. So again, check that out if you haven't already. So who is ready to build? We're going to do the follow along and we're going to build this thing now. So it is time. Let's see how to actually do this thing. Okay, so first things first, we need to go ahead and open the guide, okay? So I actually created a full text-based guide for you that lists everything step by step that we're going to go through during this workshop. So if you do fall behind or get stuck at any point, that guide will be there for you after the session, as well as the recording. So I just shared the link to the guide. You can click on that open guide button if you're here live. And that has all the links you'll need and the instructions you'll need. So you will be able to do this. I promise you that. I am going to hop over into development mode now, and we're going to start building this thing. So this is the guide that y'all should have been able to open. It's just a Google Doc. This link right here links to that SME interview that I showed you at the beginning of this session if you want to play around with that on your own time. Mine has a couple more features like those stars that appear that aren't in the version we're going to create, but once you see how this works, you should be able to add that feature relatively easily. Second most important thing is download the storyline template. So I'm sharing a template with you all to start from so that we can only work on basically the hard parts. So download this template here, and we are going to get started shortly on that template. Notice I mentioned that if you'd like to use the same font I used in the template, you can download the Google font. I don't recommend doing that right now. It's going to take a little bit longer. Just do that after the session. Your template just might look a little different than mine if you don't have this font installed. And then after that, go ahead and sign into the sim builder. So you can go to devlin.ai/login in your address bar and sign in with your Google account if you have one. That's what I do. Otherwise, you can get a login code sent to your email address. So we got a couple of things going. We're opening the doc. We are downloading the storyline template. And we are logging into devlin.ai. It's free for everyone to sign in. You get 5,000 credits right now, which is enough for probably at least 100 AI-powered conversations, if not more. How are we doing with that? Are y'all ready? Once you sign in for the first time into the sim builder, it will ask you a few questions like your name and stuff like that, and then it will drop you right on the new simulation screen. If you already had an account, you can click on this new simulation button to get to this new simulation screen. If you are here though after signing in, you are in the right spot. As long as you'll have the template open, which should look something like this, and you're ready in your account. Okay, I'm gonna move on because I see that some of y'all are ready. Remember, everything that you need will be available in the replay. Okay, so first order of business will be in the Devlin AI tool. And we can look at step 3 right here. This is essentially a copy and paste job. So we're going to copy the simulation name. We're going to call it the retiring SME. The learner, we're just going to put instructional designers. And here is the simulation description. So you can be as non-descriptive or as descriptive as you'd like here. I shared a prompt that should get us pretty close to what I used for the demo I shared. My prompt looked a little bit different because I was like, I'm hosting a workshop around this and it needs to be like really good. And like, I need to be able to push Frank's buttons really easily and so on and so forth. So I added a few like live event specific things to this. But in case you didn't know where we're going with this yet, AI is going to actually create the whole simulation for us. So we can describe it in as much detail as we'd like, right? Once you've got everything copied in here, click on that generate sim button. Okay, so copy in those 3 things. Make sure you get both paragraphs from the simulation description and then click on generate sim and just let it do its work. So it can take around 40 seconds for this step. So just watch the glowing orb, really commune with this orb here, and before you know it, the sim will be created. And yes, the sim description will be used to fill out all of the details for this simulation. So I have a really in-depth AI prompt running right now that knows which content will power this simulation the best and knows how to fill out all of our fields really well. So it will fill out everything for us. So simulation ready. It gives us a screen where we can actually try the simulation right here. The character is already spun up and talking to us. So the SME is saying, so they finally sent someone. I figured HR would want to do some kind of exit interview, but an instructional designer is a new one. What exactly are we trying to accomplish here? And we can test it out. We are going to make an info dump e-learning course. Kelly, the quality of the sim should be high regardless of how detailed your sim description is. So don't feel too much pressure around that. I tried it. I've made some sims where for the description, I say, just make something really engaging. And it comes up with a pretty engaging sim. So there we go. So this works. Now we can click on this continue to editor button and you can see all the magic that happened during that 40 seconds. Okay, so on the tab now, we can see the simulation name, the character name. Look at all of this, right? We didn't write all of these instructions. Start neutral and a little guarded, short answers, mild skepticism. Right, we have the character's opening line, scenario context, learner role with more detail, and look at all of these behavior triggers. So when the learner asks a vague question, shrug and give a general answer. So again, the AI generated all of this from the description that we shared with it, as well as the simulation endings. There's max turns that we could set. So you as the designer have full control over changing or updating any of these things as needed, but just see how much work this AI engine does behind the scenes. It generates all of the evaluation criteria for us. Deductions. Right, and also the best part, the storyline publishing settings. So it generates this variable for us, tells us when the variable should change, has these different values set up, so on and so forth. So how are we doing? Are most of us at this point? Do we have the simulation created? Because it's pretty much ready to drop into storyline now that it's created. We don't need to change anything. That's all we needed to do to create the simulation. And the key reason this worked is because of this line right here. The sim must use a storyline variable called Frank Mood. It would have probably created that even if we didn't include this line. I just wanted to be sure since we have so many people here today. And I said with these available states, neutral, happy, thinking, confused, and alarmed. And if you haven't figured it out yet, the reason I said that is because in our demo file, if we go to this slide 1.2, the simulation slide with Frank, and click on him, go to his states, we can see that we've matched up those states exactly. So if you're new to storyline, right, we did this just by inserting a character, editing the states, and then clicking this button to add new states as needed, and then customizing them as we want. So this 1.2 slide is where we are going to be doing our programming next. Yeah, and then the questions about other languages, we could definitely make this work in up to 70 different languages, I think. So yeah, definitely can. If you do all of your settings in French, the simulation will likely work in French, even though the editor is in the UI for you as the designer is in English. But I could update that too. We will have time for Q&A at the end as well. But are y'all ready to continue? Do you want me to show you how to wire it up to storyline now that the simulation is complete? Okay, let's keep moving. So let's just follow along with the simulation guide so it makes it easy for people to like catch up if or as needed. Or yeah, with the implementation guide. So step 4 is embed the simulation. Okay, so in the devlin.ai tab, we are going to go to the publishing tab. We're going to scroll down inside of this storyline 360 section. We are going to scroll down until we get to step 1 in the embedded implementation guide here, and we're going to copy this URL. This is the web object URL. Once we have that, we're going to hop back over to storyline, go to the insert tab while we're on slide 1.2, and click on web object right here at the top. So click on web object. We're going to replace the URL that's in the address already, and we're going to paste the URL we just copied. So it should look like this, and we will click on OK. Once we've done that, let's just resize it so it looks good over here in this space. Right, try to center it with the continue button so it looks nice. There we go. Okay, so now the simulation works inside of storyline. If you publish this right now, this simulation would work. The only thing it can't do yet is change the states of the character. So that's what we need to work on next. And yeah, of course the character can be changed. You can use completely custom characters, yeah. But yeah, we'll have lots of time for questions at the end. I'll stay a little past 60 minutes too to make sure I answer all of your questions. Okay, so step 2, once we've done the embed, is to add these storyline variables. So this again is a copy and paste job. I actually made it even easier in the implementation guide. Let's see. Oh, I added a step here to review the character states. We already did that. I just wanted to make sure you know, like, the reason this is working is because we added additional states for this character. So I already did that in the template since that's a relatively basic storyline skill. So then we're going to create the storyline variables. So these are the variables we need. Again, I made it pretty easy here. inside of the implementation guide, but you can also find this information right here. The only thing is it might include some variables we aren't actually using in this demo, right? The AI created these two. We're not going to need this one. So if you want to just keep it really easy, just copy the variables that I have in the text-based guide over here. So in Storyline, we are going to click on the Manage Project Variables button over here on the right. And then I'm going to click on this green plus button to start creating these variables. Now, a couple of things when creating variables, we need to make sure the capitalization matches exactly. So Frank Mood, yeah, if it was lowercase like this, the whole thing would not work. So we need to make sure that the capitalization is exact, and we need to make sure that the type is exact as well. So Frank Mood is a text variable. We will leave the default value, whatever it is. We're going to create another one now. This one will be sim eval complete. If you want to make sure you get it exactly right, you could just copy it and paste it. And sim eval complete is a true false variable. So we'll do true false for that. Default should always be false for the true false variables. I'm just going to speed this along now. I'm going to copy and paste that one. I will name this one sim pass, since that's the other true false variable. I'll do sim score now. And don't miss these underscores that we're using. Sim score is a number variable equal to 0 by default. And then sim feedback is a text variable. And I think those are all the ones we need. Okay. So how are we doing? We need these 5 variables. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once you've created those 5 variables, we're going to create the triggers to make this whole simulation work. But if y'all are already experienced Storyline users, this should be really, really basic stuff. Like, we are not doing anything crazy here. So we've created these variables. Once I get some confirmation in the chat that y'all are ready, I'm going to go ahead and move along. Okay, now we're going to create 5 triggers. These triggers are going to be, again, pretty intuitive. If y'all already work in Storyline, we're going to click this new trigger button right here. And we are going to change the state of Frank to happy when the variable changes Frank Mood if Frank Mood is equal to happy. And this is going to be lowercase. Okay, for those of you who are newer to this, we're basically saying, yeah, change Frank's state. We already saw his 5 different states. When the Frank Mood variable changes, because the AI will automatically change the Frank Mood variable based on Frank's mood as determined by the AI. That's how this is working. So we're just building the bridge here. We're saying, here's what we want to happen in the actual course when the AI changes the Frank Mood variable. And so then, since the Frank Mood variable can be equal to multiple things, which we can see on the Publishing tab in Storyline 360 settings, here's the logic for this Frank Mood variable, right? We explain when it should change, and here are its potential values. So notice that this value is a lowercase happy. We need to match that exactly in our condition, because that's what the AI is going to set the value to. So I'm going to press OK to create this, and we basically just need to copy this 5 times. So I'm going to press the copy button, I'm going to paste, and then I'm going to update the one that I just pasted. We're going to change the state to thinking when Frank Mood changes if Frank Mood is equal to thinking, all lowercase. I'm going to paste it again, open it up again, and I'm just going down the list, right? We can do neutral, so I'll do change state of Frank to normal, which is the default state. We have him as neutral by default. When Frank Mood changes if Frank Mood is equal to neutral. I'm going to paste it again. We should only have a couple more now. We need to do confused and alarmed. So change his mood to confused, or change his state to confused when Frank Mood changes if Frank Mood is equal to confused. And then I'll paste it one more time, open it up, and now we'll set the state to alarmed when the variable changes if the variable is equal to alarmed. Hopefully this is pretty self-explanatory. If you're new to working in Storyline in this way, just go a little slower with the implementation guide in the replay, and this should make sense. But again, high level, the AI is changing the Storyline variables. We are basically creating triggers to change stuff in Storyline when the AI changes the storyline variables. I hope that makes sense. If there's any confusion, let me know during the Q&A. Okay, there's one final trigger we need to add, right? Are y'all ready to get into the dreaded JavaScript? Right? The dreaded JavaScript. Here's what we're getting into, y'all. Oh, wait, no, there's actually this. There's this first, okay? We're about to get into the dreaded JavaScript. So what we need to do is look at this continue button, right? So this continue button is in the hidden state by default because we don't want people to be able to continue until they complete the simulation, and not just complete the simulation, but get their results back from the simulation. Because on the next slide, we show all of these results. If they haven't actually completed the simulation, they're not going to, if they haven't even gotten their results back and they continue, this slide is just going to look empty. So we need to create a new trigger where we change the state of the continue button to normal when a variable changes sim eval complete. Because when the evaluation is complete from the simulation, it will change this storyline variable to true. So you could add a condition and say when sim eval complete is equal to true. That's not really necessary because it's false by default. The only way it can change is to true. So I'm going to click OK so that this continue button actually changes. And now we are getting into the dreaded JavaScript, okay? This line of JavaScript right here is what you need to copy and paste. This is the dreaded JavaScript. So copy that JavaScript, hop back over into Storyline. We're going to do an execute JavaScript trigger, click on JavaScript right here, and then paste in that single line of dreaded JavaScript, and you're done with the JavaScript. Actually, there might be another little tiny part to do. So click OK. We're going to execute this when the timeline starts on this slide. Okay, so this JavaScript just initializes the listener so that the web object here has the ability to update the storyline variables. So this JavaScript is basically the bridge between our web object and the storyline course itself. So this is needed for it to update the storyline variables. So we'll click OK. And that's all there is to it. So if we were to publish this right now, this would work. Y'all want to try it? And also, this is really important to clarify. You will never have to do this again inside of this simulation. So if you go back over here and you're like, I want to make some changes, right? Like I want to change how it works. I'm gonna update his character a little bit. I'm gonna change his first message. You know what? I'm also gonna change the whole visual design of the whole thing, right? I'm gonna change all the colors. I'm gonna change the font weight. I'm going to change the evaluation criteria. You click Save Changes, and within 60 seconds, those changes are going to be live in your course. So no republishing in Storyline, no updating JavaScript lines, like you're already done. So once this is live and published, you can update the simulation only from this tool without having to ever republish or do anything from Storyline. Yeah, again, I try to make it as easy as possible. So let's see if this works. Okay, this should work fine now. So I'm going to publish this. And when we publish, we'll click on Publish. We will click on Web, and this will just publish it locally. So I'm going to publish it locally. We'll view the project, and let's see if we can talk to Frank here. So they finally sent someone. What are we trying to accomplish here? Well, I want to make an e-learning course. Okay, and Frank is alarmed. So if y'all were able to follow along until this point, we built the simulation. That's how difficult it is. So how are y'all feeling? For those of you, some of y'all might have gotten slowed down along the way. Again, I'm confident with this guide, you'll be able to get there today for sure. But yeah, we did it. Was it easier than you expected? And we did all of this, just to remind you all, from this prompt right here, right? This is the level of description we needed, which was honestly even more in depth than we actually needed. When I first planned this session, I was testing with only this paragraph right here. So it does work in Rise. Again, yeah, I'm excited to get to the Q&A for you all. I'm going to answer some questions. I have some more slides for you. Do you all want to build the rest of this really quick, or should we move on? Because the next piece is basically adding some variable references so that we can display the feedback on the slide. You would use the, I'll show you for this one, you use this percentage sign syntax, and then you type in the name of the variable, and then enclose it with another percentage sign, click out, and now when they get to this slide, it will show that simulation feedback. So y'all do want me to build this piece out? Okay, let's do it. I'll try to do it pretty quickly. I'll do the percentage sign sim_score. And these have to be spelled and capitalized exactly like they are in the variable manager. Again, I put those instructions in the full guide. We have some pass fail text here. It is fail by default and pass as an additional state. So I'm going to create a new trigger. I'm going to change the state of the pass fail text to pass when the timeline starts on this slide if sim pass is equal to true. Yes, this is also included in the implementation guide, so you don't need to follow along with this right now if you don't want to. Okay, so this is the trigger for that. So then when the timeline starts here, if our simulation set sim pass to true, it will update the state of that text box to pass, and it will show the appropriate thing. The only other thing we need to do here, this is the only other line of JavaScript I was talking about, is we don't want you to manually have to like change all of your storyline variables back whenever someone clicks the try again button. So I made it really easy in a single line of JavaScript. So click on this try again button, click on this new trigger. We're going to execute some JavaScript. And the JavaScript will be, ready, our second super hard line of JavaScript. We're going to spell out restart simulation and then put two closing parentheses. So notice the capitalization, it's important. Lowercase restart, capital S simulation. There we go, click OK. And we're going to do this when the user clicks the try again button. And that's all. So that will reset all of the variables associated with the simulation as well as the simulation itself. And you can move this trigger above, well, we need to move this trigger above the trigger that actually jumps to the other slide, or else this JavaScript will never run and it will never reset. So I'm going to click on that JavaScript trigger and click on the up arrow so that first it will execute that restart JavaScript and then it will jump us back to the simulation. And these instructions, if you're new to this kind of thing, these live in the full implementation guide within the Storyline 360 publishing section as well. So all the way at the bottom, here's where it gives the instructions on restarting the simulation. It's included in the implementation guide as well. So I think we're just about done here. That's the results slide. Did we miss anything? We did that. We did this. And there we go. So now you can just publish and test. So that's all there is to it. Again, you can, look at your specific instructions. Again, they were all AI generated, so your stuff might look a little bit different. You feel free to refine this one. But of course, what I'm most excited about is seeing what y'all create. This will work in Storyline 3, yes. I mean, I haven't tried it, but there's no reason I can see why it wouldn't work in Storyline 3, I guess is what I should say. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to share a few more slides with y'all, then let's dive into the questions. I can't wait to hear what y'all are thinking. So this is probably a question on a lot of your minds, right? The security, the privacy, how can you use this at your actual organization? So I am designing this for enterprise use from the start. So this isn't just like a nighttime hobby project for me. Like once I shared some initial prototypes and saw how much excitement there was on the enterprise front, I'm going all in on this front. So I'm making sure that we can roll this out to actual audiences with thousands or tens of thousands or more learners at a time. And I'm making sure we can comply with enterprise requirements. So learner conversations are never used to train AI models. So this isn't like a data harvesting operation. Your data is encrypted when it's moving between endpoints and at rest. So your data is safe. Tenant isolation via row level security. So in our database, user A physically cannot access data from user B. Hard separation at the database level. We're using Vercel and Supabase for hosting. So this is enterprise grade architecture here. This is all hosted in the United States, if you needed to know that info. And for those of you who are in the know about SOC 2, we are beginning this compliance process, which is the most, the industry standard enterprise security, privacy, data handling process. This is essentially an independent audit of our entire system. So we're designing this for enterprise. Pricing, I've seen some questions about that in the chat. So I have this generous free tier, giving y'all some credits, very good for hobbyists, for portfolio users. After our beta is over, it will be $49 per month per designer. During this founders discount period, though, it will be $39 a month for life. This includes 35K credits per month. So for 3 more weeks, we're going to be running this founders discount just for all the people who are believing in us early. I do appreciate all of the support for those of you who are believing in us early. I've been working incredibly hard on this, so I really can't wait to see it start rolling out to bigger audiences and seeing it on portfolios and things like that. So that's the pricing. But again, you can see if you click on the credits up in the top right, if you click on this, it will show you like what's included in the different tiers. I'll probably add a different button or a banner or something like that. But yeah, you can get like the Scorm and X API export. You get those 35K credits a month. You can turn off all of the devlin.ai branding from your widgets, basically unlock the core platform. But the portfolio tier you can do for free as long as you're okay with the branding. Also, 2 new modes coming soon. I wanted to have these demos ready for you here, but I was really trying to make sure, the core platform was as strong as possible before the public beta. But we do have working prototypes of a coach mode. So essentially what that looks like is while you are talking to Frank, you could essentially access like a coach, and then a coach AI powered dialogue comes up, and then that coach can see the full transcript, the full conversation you're having with the character, and the coach can give some guided support while you're also talking to the character. And it can give you some AI powered debriefs, so you can have like follow-up conversations with the coach about your performance and get that live coaching. So that feature already is pretty good. Maybe we'll do another live event in a week or 2, or maybe I'll just do a YouTube video, but that mode is very close to ready. You probably even saw it in my view here. I just need to make it look prettier. And then voice mode too. So this one does use a lot more credits, but it also opens a lot more possibilities. Like for example, if your learners are call center agents or something along those lines and they need to navigate software while talking to customers, we're going to be optimizing voice mode so that you can have these conversations while also navigating software. And it should provide some really realistic practice opportunities. So I want to see what y'all built. So please share your sim, tag me on LinkedIn. We are looking for sims to showcase. So if you're creating something that can be shared publicly, again, please tag me. I love to showcase some of your simulations on my site. I can't even imagine some of the creative stuff y'all can do. I think I've seen some ideas already in the chat, so I really am excited to see that. Oh, let me see. Y'all want to see my fun screen I built around this? It's your turn. Frank's intrigued, so there we go. And I think that brings us to Q&A. Yes, it does. So thank you everybody for making it to the end here. I'll probably hang around. We'll see how it goes over the next 10 minutes. I'm sure I could hang around a little longer than that if y'all would like me to, but let's dive into it. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And how are we feeling? I haven't been able to keep as close of an eye on the chat as I would have liked, but let's see. All right. Any questions? Okay, credits. I'm going to add a page that talks about how credits are used. Basically, whenever you use the AI features in the tool, credits are used. So if you have a super long information inside of the editor that controls your AI, every time someone has a conversation with your AI, it's going to put all of that into the context. It's going to use more credits. If someone's chatting back and forth with your simulation 5 times, it's going to use a lot less credits than if someone's chatting back and forth with it 20 or 30 times per simulation. So it's hard to put an exact number on that. I will be adding an update very soon where you can see the credits used per conversation in your dashboard, and for each of all of the conversation history where you can see the recent completions, you'll be able to see the total amount of credits used, the credits used for the conversation itself, and the credits used for the evaluation. So we're going to give you some good insight so you can start learning for your sims, for your audience, just how many credits you might need to roll it out. If credits start running out, you will get an email. So you can set an email alerts to say, hey, notify me when it goes below a certain amount. We can also set up like auto top up and things like that if or as needed. And then for organizations, we could have like organizational bundles of credits across all of their designers and users. Rachel, you've never seen me talk this fast. Yeah, trying to really deliver on that time promise, I guess, here. This can definitely be used in an LMS. So we are going to make it so that while embedded inside of a storyline course, it can report the results up to the LMS. So it can report the score and the pass or fail. And then also these simulations can be exported individually as XAPI or SCORM packages. So you don't need to put this inside of Storyline. That just makes it more engaging, right? Because you can have a character moving around and stuff. But yeah, you can build basically a whole like learning pathway with these simulations without ever touching Storyline if you wanted to. Yes, you can customize the chat box. So full color customization, transparency customization. I need to add a font uploader setting option, but other than that, pretty much everything else should be customizable right now. Thousands of users, James. I am designing this to be used for thousands of users. For enterprise users, we would probably give them a completely separate instances so that they're not sharing resources with other accounts and things like that. So you could set up your own database, your own users, things along those lines. So if you have concerns around scale, talk to me. Let me know. We can solve those problems, right? Those would be good problems to have. And with our architecture, we can currently handle tens of thousands of users. So if not hundreds of thousands. So we're already using enterprise grade approach. So we can handle a lot of people. I'm not saying no hiccups might come up along the way. That's why we're still in public beta. But yeah, the core approach already works for a lot of people. Tom, for enterprise, let's talk about enterprise. I'm looking for some design partners, roll out some pilots. I'm already having some enterprise conversations. So yeah, TBD on that enterprise piece. But right now I'm looking for some early people, build up some case studies, right, and give early enterprise users direct impact on the roadmap. That's where we're at right now with that. The free option is 5,000 credits total right now. If I do want to have some sort of option for people who are using it for their portfolio. The idea is that if you're using this to roll out for learners on the job, we want you to pay for it, right? Those features are the paid features essentially. But yeah, I do want to make sure that portfolio users have some good options here. So I'm open to any feedback around that. Yeah, Claude is being used to power this right now. Or I should say Anthropic's API is what's powering this right now. Would I be able to import specific scenarios and details into the simulation that I already used in a previous storyline? Of course. Yeah, that would be great. You could dump in some content in that scenario description piece. Be like, hey, I need someone to practice using these skills in a realistic setting. Dump in the content, generate the sim, and it should create something pretty impressive and realistic for you. And yeah, Emily, let me know if that ever becomes a concern. 5,000, I think, should be pretty generous for hiring managers reviewing your project. So unless your project is going like super viral or something, and you had like hundreds of people using it, I don't think you should worry too much about running out of those credits. But if that ever is the case for some of y'all, if you're running low on credits and you have this on your portfolio, at least in the short term, right, send me a message. I wanna make it work for you. How this will work with accessibility, Kelly, I haven't done a deep dive into that yet. We have like focus states and things along those lines, but I haven't done a full review on consequences and requirements for that. You can email me at devlin@devlin.ai if any of y'all have questions. If you have product feedback, right, while you're working in the tool, there is a feedback button in the bottom right. Please use that, especially during the beta. I'm very responsive to that. I check it almost obsessively. And again, I've already made some of my favorite updates based on feedback people share with that option. Once you do subscribe, once you are a member, you can buy batches of credits. A question about selling this as safe to a cybersecurity company. Ask your IT department. So get your, I'm happy to talk to IT departments, review security questionnaires, talk data processing agreements, things along those lines. So yeah, again, we are in the process of removing more and more, removing any roadblocks that orgs might have to using this at their org. I'm very, responsive right now. I want to make it work. So Nice. Oh, Kelly, nice. Okay, send me an email. Yeah, anyone who's interested in enterprise stuff, might need some customization, things along those lines, send me an email as soon as possible. I'm having those conversations this week and next week to try to find out who our first partners will be. So yeah, I'd like to get a good range. So government client would be great to add to the mix. Aaron, using Copilot as your AI tool, IT have any issues using this platform / data security? They might have requests. Yeah, they might have requests that aren't in place right now because, again, this is a beta. But we are, again, tackling those requests one at a time. So, and each org might require something a little different. So, yeah, I'm exploring how to handle that quickly. Judy, nice. I'm glad to see you here. Your team's in awe. Okay, great. Thanks for making it here. And again, thanks for your feedback. It's helpful. This can be embedded into Rise. Yes, that is one of the options. I haven't done as much like customize, there isn't as much, you can't like update completion in Rise right now based on how people are doing in the simulation. But if that is something people need, right? If we want to update Rise scores or update Rise progress, things along those lines, that should be a relatively light lift for me. Yes, bring your own key. Great question, Eric. That will be an option for enterprise clients. So if you have a custom LLM gateway, if you want to bring your own API key, that's going to be available at the enterprise level. Jennifer, I can't see any reason why this would conflict with Articulate's AI features. The way this embed works is it's its own completely separate thing. It just talks to storyline through those variables. So yeah, Articulate's features are quite different there. For the enterprise license, what is the starting credit amount? Sheldon, we are not there yet. Again, I'm in the stage where for enterprise clients, I'm looking for some early partners, and we're going to build the enterprise program together. So yeah, for these early people, we're gonna see what their needs are. We're gonna run some pilots. We're gonna put together a solid enterprise plan, but we're not there yet. So I'm just having those conversations over the next couple of weeks. Patrick, when you pay monthly, what's the best way to position myself to hiring managers? I want hiring managers to know I'm using this. If you're looking for roles, I think you could, show screenshots of the tool, talk about updates you made, say you generate a sim, test the sim, iterate on the sim. So say, I generated it, I tried using this approach, I found that the character wasn't acting right in this way, so I made these updates. So highlight your iteration, highlight the problem that you're solving with the simulation, share some screenshots from the tool to show the behind the scenes work that you're doing, and of course embed the sim, somewhere front and center on your webpage so that people can experience it. I think while, a lot of hiring managers, if they still haven't seen this tool, I think it might be a wow moment, for them to see this for the first time. So it might be a good opportunity if you're looking for roles. Yeah, if anyone needs to head out, feel free to head out. I appreciate you all being here for so long. I'll probably wrap this up shortly, just trying to catch up with the chat. I'm still scrolling my way down. Eric, you asked what virtual desktop I use. Parsec. It is a lifesaver. Parsec. That's how I'm controlling my desktop downstairs from my Mac upstairs. So you'd think you probably need a decent home internet connection, but as long as it's decent, not even great, there's like near zero lag. It's the best thing. It was made for gamers. Costin, does it work in Romanian? I think that should be an option. So as long as Claude is able to work in those languages, as long as Anthropic models work in those languages, we can work in those languages. So adding again, if you just fill out all the settings in Romanian, check out the sim and it will probably respond and work in Romanian. But yeah, use the feedback form. I'm happy to add, multilingual support. That will be a very light lift with how this is working. Goodbye to everyone who's signing off. Stu, to buy credits, you can click on that credits plus button in the top right, and that will be our core plan with the 35K credits per month, and that will be a $39 per month for life for everyone who joins in our early beta program this month over the next 3 weeks. Oh yes, James, that would be great. James or Jamie, Rise test course. Yeah, let me know if you want to help me make this work really, really well with Rise. Let me know your specific needs in there. Right now it embeds fine. It will look great. It's just what do we want it to control in Rise? Karen, freelance IDs using that $39 subscription. I will want to work with freelancers at some point because the tricky thing with that is as a freelancer, right, if you're hosting this sim for a client, the client's usage is going to use your credits. So we'll likely need an option for freelancers where you can let the client, put in their own billing information if they would like, and then the client is the one who gets billed for the credits, not the freelancer. So I've already been thinking about that. I do definitely want to make this work for freelancers. So yeah, if you're thinking about using this as a freelancer, once you have some interested clients, I'll get on calls with you. We'll figure it out together. But yes. For speech to text, has it been tested on Rise? You've been running into an issue with Rise blocking the microphone. Yeah, that might be tricky, Judy. I stopped my voice testing to prepare for this live event over the past 2 weeks. I was working through that with Storyline. With Storyline, we obviously have some easier options. But yeah, Rise I haven't tested yet. So I'll definitely add that to my to-do list when I get back into the voice testing. How long did it take me to create this? Oh, I recorded a video. I'm like, I have this idea. I want to start building this on March 12th. And it's currently April 9th. The amount of hours I've spent on this, though, I'm embarrassed to say. I've spent a lot of nights up until 1 a.m., let's just say. It's been a bit of an obsession. So, yeah, less than a month from when I started, but hundreds and hundreds of hours, if that answers your question. Education pricing, Brenda, I actually haven't thought about that. I am very intrigued. If you send me an email or submit that feedback form letting me know your situation, I'm sure we can... I'm interested. I think we could work something out there. That's a great idea. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate all of the support. I still haven't caught up to the real time where we are in the chat. If you don't finish all the credits, does it accumulate? Good question there. The subscription credits, the 35K credits a month, those will accumulate up to 3 months. So once you get those subscription credits, they don't expire until 3 months later. So you can accumulate, over 100K credits on the subscription. And then when you purchase credits, they are valid for 12 months. So again, once you're on the core plan, you can purchase credit packs. Those are valid for 12 months, just so we don't have like endless liabilities on our books. Really good for case managers at the nonprofit I work at. Great. Yeah, I'd love to hear about the use cases you're thinking of. The session replay will be available after this. Thank you all for attending the workshops. Rachel, it's flying over your high expectations. Good. Okay, I'm glad. I know we were talking about it a little yesterday. I'm like, let me know what you think. Okay, see some freelancers interested. For voice version, can we include an option to change the accent? So I'm using 11 Labs voices for this prototype. So if 11 Labs has a voice that works for you, that's likely what the first version of voice will roll out with, just because those do have the best voices. So I'm not doing custom voice model development. I'm working with the best that I can find. Yeah, Yahida, thanks for helping it come to life too. Yahida, you saw it from its inception, right? When this started as something at a Peck Academy workshop where I was teaching people how to build something like this with Claude Code, and it was, obviously more complex than this. And so that's when I was like, what if I try to build this tool myself to make it as easy as humanly possible for instructional designers to create these simulations? And so that's what led me there. Johnny, 300 learners, more than 35K credits per month. Maybe not. I think that depends. But yeah, I'd love to get in touch and find a payment plan and stuff that would work out for you. Yeah, we this is why we're still in the beta period. So if we do need to bump those credits every month, I'm open to doing that, right? If this isn't enough for most users, and then if there are re-ups required or a higher tier plan with that needs heavier usage, but if those 300 learners are all every single month using multiple simulations and the simulations go 10 to 20 turns, maybe not. If it's a little bit more sporadic usage and it's, a few simulations, I'd lean towards yes, but I think we just need a little bit more data to get a good insight into that. Tanya, I'm excited to see your portfolio piece. It's very fun to create a piece of software like this when there's so much excitement about it and when it seems like it's going to actually help people. So thank you for all of the support. When I see y'all building stuff with it, that's what makes it more exciting. That's why I'm like gladly staying up till 1 a.m. every night and prepping for these workshops. So thank you for the excitement. Costin, you have 11K plus learners. Yeah, we have options for that. That's where the bring your own key is going to come into play. So if you have thousands of learners, that's enterprise level solution we're looking at. So your org likely has their own API keys, their own agreements with these AI providers. So we would not be charging you for credits at that point. You would be using your own org's pricing. So yeah, at scale, you're not going to use the credits. This is for smaller scale. At scale, you're going to want to use enterprise, bring your own key. It's going to be much more cost effective at scale. I will say also, if the cost or credit usage is a concern, we can use a faster model. During a big portion of beta, we had a model, we were using Haiku 4.5, which is a faster and cheaper model, but it would hallucinate a little bit more. So I decided to just stick to Sonnet, which is what's powering these now, just because the quality is so good. And it doesn't really make mistakes in all of my testing. So there is a trade-off there where it could be cheaper and a little bit faster to get the responses, but the quality is less consistent. So, for a tool that's built all around the quality of the simulations, I figured the cost was worth it, but that is something you can configure. All right. Thank you, everybody. Yes, the recording will be available. No worries if you missed it. A question, as we import the web object, still the tokens or credits will be consumed for each response from Frank? Yes. So for each message that the user sends to Frank and each response we get back, it will use some credits. So whenever we use the AI engine to power this stuff, that's where the credit usage comes in. The trial credits do not expire. So your account doesn't expire. The trial credits do not expire. So I might make less credits available in the future to new people who sign up once we get through this beta period. But yeah, you don't need to worry about your trial credits expiring. All right. So I've caught up with the chat. I'm not seeing any new questions come in. Did I miss anything, or are y'all ready to call it a day and hopefully get building? I want to see what y'all create. You're welcome. Thank you all. And yeah, please, the feedback is love here. So if you're using the tool and it doesn't do something you want, or you have any sort of question, use that feedback button. Send me an email at devlin@devlin.ai. This is my baby right now, so I want to make it as good as possible. So yeah, if you can give me that feedback on how to do that, that is extremely helpful for me. And yeah, any early interested enterprise users, let's hop on a call. Let's see how we can make it work. I don't think price will be a concern, right? I want to make it work. I want to run some pilots, get some case studies going, make sure this can actually work at scale for big orgs. So thank you, everyone. Thanks for the congrats on the new baby, David. The software baby. And my email is devlin@devlin.ai. DEVLIN. Oh, Jeffy, yes. Where can you try the new sim created by Sabrina? I shared it in my second to most recent LinkedIn post. Let me just grab the URL for you. I'll share it here for those of you all who are still live. In the replay, it will, of course, be available. But yeah, it's a pretty fun one if you haven't checked it out already. It's called Brush Strokes and Lies. Oh, Nathan, you beat me to it. There we go. Okay. Enjoy, everybody. Oh, I'll add that to the doc as well as a sample at the bottom. All right. Well, have a great rest of your week and weekend. I can't wait to hear your feedback and your thoughts, and I will talk to you all soon. Thanks for trying out the tool. Bye-bye, everybody. Cheers.